Yourself set up with the balls again, either on top of your block, and then you'll lay down. Or if you don't have a block, you'll just hold the balls, cup your hands there, and then just support that way. And then you can start to do some gentle movements, side to side, yes and no with your head, maybe some circles. Now, if you did only have a single ball, it would still work. You just hold the ball with the one hand and then place it on the one side of your neck and do your movement, and then you'll switch sides partway through. So as you do this, I invite you to open your heart, but close your eyes. How's that? And start tuning in to your breath. So your inspiration, you breathe in. And exhale, breathe out. So inviting in with every breath in, your inspiration, your breath in, actual inspiration. So what inspires you as you step into this beautiful day? What inspires you? And just be open to that. And then with every exhale, I invite you to let go of anything that is not in alignment with that thing or concept that inspires you. So you could also be still. You don't have to keep moving. You just place those balls and just take some deep breaths. You'll get a little bit of traction on the neck. We'll be here for another 5 or so breaths. So again, maybe you're still, maybe you move. The movements are pretty slow. About 3 more breaths. One more really big breath in. And a long breath out. So you'll carefully lift up off of your block, if you have a block, and or the balls. Just go ahead and lay yourself down now. You can keep your knees bent or they can extend out straight, a little mini Shavasana. Take another really big breath into the belly, into the ribs, up into the chest and throat. And then an open mouth exhale. And then it might be more comfortable in your body to kind of roll sideways to transition to what we have next. Same balls, a little bit lower on your body. So still upper back area. So more like upper traps, upper shoulder blade area. The balls will be straddling your spine. And then I recommend supporting your neck if your head is super dangly. So you could do that with your hands or a block or a little pillow. And then from there, you can start to just do some gentle side to side movements. So if you're supporting your head with your hands, you can just kind of bring your right elbow towards your right hip. Left elbow goes and dips towards left hip. And again, if you're supported by a block, you can still just kind of shimmy right shoulder towards right hip, left shoulder towards left hip. You might adjust the balls a little higher or lower so that you're feeling something, but you're still able to take a deep breath. So if it's so intense you can't take a deep breath, it is too much. And we're going to work our way down the spine now. So if you're just supporting your head, scoot the balls down, your body moves up. If you're supported by a block, you'll need to adjust where your block is or your pillow. And again, maybe just a little shimmy side to side. If this is all way too much for you, and it can be, maybe you take yourself to the wall. So you'll have your balls against the wall and do a very similar action, just kind of going side to side. And then move the balls down a little bit more. So you're maybe now at the lowest part of your shoulder blades. And check in. If that's too much, adjust. Maybe the balls need to go a little bit higher, a little bit lower. And then if you're able, lift your hips up and you're going to roll up and down the upper back. And again, this could be something done at the wall if this is too much for you. So you'll need to support your head, probably with your hands, lift your hips, and roll up and down. If you're at the wall, you'll be just doing kind of some little squats with your legs, and the balls will roll up and down your spine. Take a deep breath in. Whew, and a long breath out. We'll be here for another handful of breaths. Long, deep breaths in and out. One more big breath in and a long breath out. And then come off of the balls very carefully. And you'll start to transition your way onto your hands and your knees. So we're going to move through some cat-cows, but I really want you to think in your mind that the movement is coming from that area you just released. So oftentimes cat-cow ends up being just in that lower back, where you dump into the back and the movement initiates in the back. I'd like you to initiate the movement in your upper back. So let's start by bringing the chin to the chest, rounding the upper back, pressing into the hands and leaning just slightly forward so that upper back is really rounded out. And then lift from the chest, so the chest moves towards the ground and then forward, and then lengthen again from that middle upper back. Tuck and round, opposite direction, that cat posture. And then lift the chest and lengthen the heart forward. Think of getting long through your chest and front of the body. One more time, tuck and round. And lift and lengthen. So leaving your left hand on the ground, you'll start to reach your right arm up, spin up, rotate through that same middle back. Come tucking underneath yourself, reach across. You're gonna do that again. So reach, rotate through that upper back. And tuck and slide under, way across. We're gonna do this one more time, but this time we're gonna stay. So reach up, slide under and across, all the way till you're laying on the back of your arm. Now from here, you have options. You can move your hips towards your heels, like child's pose in the body. You can stay on those knees, more like an all fours position. Or last option, you could lay all the way down on your belly on top of your arm. But remember, the chest still needs to spin towards the ground. If you start to roll over to the right, you just took the stretch off of the arm. So all the way on top of that arm in one way or another, so that you're feeling the back of your right shoulder, maybe into the shoulder blade area that we just rolled out. And then you breathe. Full inhales and long exhales. Take 5 more. And 3 more. Deep breath. And 1 more really big breath in and out. And then you'll make your way up and we'll move into side number 2. So coming onto all fours, right hand is down and left arm sweeps way up, moving from the middle back, slide it under and across, and then come back up, reach, exhale, under and across, and then one more time, reach. This time you'll stay. Laying on top of your arm, maybe you're on all fours. Maybe you move your hips back towards your heels, more like a child's pose. Or maybe you come all the way down onto your belly and lay right on top of that arm. Choose the one that serves you best. We're all doing the same thing regardless of what the body looks like. The idea is to feel something in the back of the left shoulder now and even into that shoulder blade area. And then maybe close your eyes again, check in and notice your breath. Notice how this side might feel different from the other side. It's very normal to have one side tighter than the other side or more stuck than the other side. And just 3 more breaths. Full inhale. Complete exhale. And one more big breath in. And long breath out. Very slowly making your way out. And then you'll find your squishy Pilates ball or your pillow or rolled up towel or something like that that's got a little bit of give. You're going to be placing it on your belly, so belly button region, okay? And you'll be laying down on top of it. And first thing we'll do is settle in and take some deep breaths. So breathe, feel your belly expand and press into the ball or the pillow or towel, and exhale. Feel it melting into your body. And keep breathing like that. We're affecting the upper part of your hip flexors, the part that connects up into your spine. And if you do a lot of sitting throughout the day, these tend to get really tight. And so getting them released, unstuck is really important. Will help you avoid lower back pain and other issues that can arise in your hips, and even your gut from having over tight hip flexors. Now, if you're on the ball, this will work really well, and on a pillow or a blanket, maybe works, maybe not quite as well, but you'll just kind of rock side to side now. I like to come onto my forearms a little bit for this. And so you start to put a little pressure more on one side and then the other side. Maybe you lean over to one side and take a breath in and out. And then switch sides and do the same. We'll be here for 5 more breaths. You could move up and down. Again, this will work better on a ball than it will on a towel or a blanket, but I'm using my toes to move up and down. Just doing some movement this way. And again, it may or may not work on your pillow or your blanket, but if you have a ball, it works pretty well. If you're using a blanket or a towel or a pillow, just keep moving side to side or just keep taking some deep breaths. 2 more deep breaths. Last one. Good. And you can start to remove the ball, set it off to the side. And then you'll want to find your double ball again if you have inside your tote, if you have this. If not, again, a single ball can work. It's just a little bit more of a balancing act with one ball. So we're going to be rolling out the front of your right thigh, okay? And all the way up even into the hip flexor up at the top. So the balls will go by the knee at first, and you'll use the other knee or leg or foot to push you and pull you up and down the leg. So you can go the whole range, or you can pick a little spot and stay there for a little bit, and then move to the next spot and stay there for a bit, and then again continue up. So it's really your choice. Pull the pit of the belly in, a little integrity of the spine, of the low back, and the belly is tight so that you're protecting your low back. You might decide you need a little break from that pushing and pulling. You lay down and then bend and straighten the leg, or internally and externally rotate, or even shift side to side like this with a straight leg. Or just really be intuitive. Really, you can figure out some ways to do some release here. Just tune in. When you are up on those forearms, remember it's kind of like a plank, so pull the belly in. Take care of your lower back. And making your way all the way up the leg. Eventually, you might even lean a little bit to the right and get what we call the TFL at the very top. This connection point. I'll come show you a little closer what I'm talking about. So that TFL is like right in this area, right here on the leg. So you might make your way all the way up there. So we'll continue to roll out this right leg for 5 more breaths. Do what you need to do to feel complete. If you haven't worked your way all the way up the leg, maybe you find your way to the top. And if it's ever too much, you can actually sit up and place the balls on your thigh and roll out the way that I'm demonstrating here, like a rolling pin. So if you're really tender in your thigh, this might be a better option for you. So we're not switching sides yet. We are going to take this to the inner thigh. Inner part of your knee is where you're going to start. So if you do not have a block, you're probably going to end up really being just by the knee. When you get up into this upper area up here, you won't be able to have enough pressure. So no worries, remember, it's all connected. So even if you just release the portion of that inner thigh by the knee, you're still affecting the whole inner thigh. So your right leg comes out to the side, and then you start to roll back and forth. You can do internal and external rotation with the leg. You can do some of that rocking back and forth. Now, if you do have a block, you can work your way up a little bit higher also by placing your balls on top of a block. A foam roller could also work in this situation. So sometimes that's a better choice for some of us. But if you're using balls and you have a block, you can absolutely work it up a little bit higher. And again, take care of the lower back. So if you're starting to feel anything in your lower back, you may want to relax down, give yourself a little break. Straighten and bend the leg. Internal, external rotation. And again, maybe side to side with a straight leg or a bent leg. And one of my favorites is when I get down by my knee, is to actually kind of make some almost like circles with my knee. And that'll work with the balls, not so much with the roller. With the roller, you just mostly go up and down the leg or do some internal and external rotation. You have 3 more breaths on this inner thigh, so make sure you feel complete. Now, before we switch sides, I'm going to have everybody come into a brief child's pose. That can be a lot on the lower back if you let yourself get a little sway back at all. So we'll move the body in the opposite direction to give our backs a little bit of a break. And then when you feel ready, we'll move to side number 2 for your front of the thigh. So your left quadricep is what we'll do next. So the front of your thigh, starting down by the knee. And again, really pull the pit of the belly in so that you don't take it into the lower back. So check in. If you're feeling the lower back, you may want to lay down and do some side-to-side movements, bend and straighten, internal, external rotation of the leg. And do make sure you spend some time in the middle of the thigh, lower part of the thigh, upper part of the thigh, and even up into that TFL way up at the top. So you'll need to lean a little to the left to get this portion. And again, as a reminder, your TFL is way up at the top, right in there. So spend some time in that area as well. So you have about 3 more breaths on the front of the thigh, and then we'll transition to inner thigh, unless you're already ready to transition, in which case you're welcome to head there, which will be, again, by the knee, either on the floor or on a block, or you can use your foam roller for this as well. If you just are by the knee, maybe you do some circles or some side to side. Straighten the leg, bend the leg. And again, if you have a block and you're using the balls, you might be able to come up a little higher on that leg. Just careful you don't fall off your block. But don't worry if you don't have a block, it's fine. Everything's connected, so you're still affecting the tissue up the leg, even if you're not right on top of it. You have 3 more breaths here. And when you finish with those 3 breaths, you may want something to pad your knee for the next thing. I'm going to go grab something for myself. So it could be some towels, it could be a blanket or a pillow. You're going to be kneeling on one knee, so it's nice to have a little bit of a cushion. When you've finished up with your second side, just take a child's pose again and let your back relax. You might even walk your arms one direction and allow the side of your lower back to stretch, maybe even into that opposite side hip. And you might walk yourself the opposite direction also. All right, so we're going to move on to our next thing. So again, you may want something to kneel on. So your right knee will be on that cushion and your left foot will step forward. It's not a big step forward. So the first thing you'll do is a pelvic tilt. So that means tuck under. So tuck. That doesn't mean I sink down. I'm still tall through the crown of my head. So I'm tailbone towards the ground, crown of the head towards the ceiling. From there, squeeze your right butt cheek. So it's my right knee on the pad. My left hand goes to the inner thigh of my left knee. Reach your right hand up. If that doesn't feel okay in your shoulder, put your right hand behind your head. Turn your body a little bit to the right and then lean to the left. Pull the tummy in, squeeze your right glute really, really tight. And again, if that doesn't feel okay in your shoulder, hand behind the head is also fine. All right, gently come out of that. Knee on the right stays the same. Left foot steps a little to the left, so we're a little bit more open now. Okay. From here, again, pelvic tilt. Hand to the inside of the thigh. Right arm reaches up or comes behind the head. Turn a little to the right, and again, lean to the left. And gently come out of that. Turn this direction so you can see. So now the leg goes way out to the side. And then walk it a little bit farther away from you. So I've got a pretty decent opening here. I might even already feel some inner thigh. Tuck. This time lean a little bit to the left. So I'm leaning into this stretch. Right hand reaches up, same thing, or hand behind the head. Turn a little bit to the right and lean to the left. Still squeezing my right glute. And then I come up out of that. And then I'm going to, with my body upright, lean even more into this left side. I might feel an inner thigh stretch on both sides. I'm pressing this inner thigh open. I might feel a stretch here, but I also might feel a stretch on this bottom leg, inner thighs, both sides. And my body is in the middle, so I'm not turned to the left. I'm definitely right in the middle here. All right, let's come out of that. Good. And we're gonna switch sides. So my left knee is now on the pad. My right foot steps right in front, so it's right in front of my body. Pelvic tilt, tuck under. Left arm reaches up or hand behind the head, you choose. Turn a little to the left. I'm really squeezing my left butt cheek, and then I lean a little bit to the right. Doesn't have to be a lot. You want to be feeling hip flexor and even up into that area where we had that ball or that blanket or pillow. Come out of that. The right foot steps a little bit to the right. Regroup, tuck under. You might lean a little bit right. Inner thigh with this right hand, left hand reaches up. Turn a little to the left, lean to the right. Come up. More to the side, and then walk it even a little bit away from you. Tuck. Lean it into the right a little bit. Compress that inner thigh with the right hand. Left hand reaches up. Turn a little to the left. Lean a little to the right. Squeeze your left glute. It's fine if you squeeze both, but definitely squeeze the left glute. And come out of that. You might walk this right foot out a little bit more to the right. You might not. So you might already be at your max. Lean in, press this inner thigh open. You might feel both inner thighs stretching here. And release. Good. Okay. So we're going to come out of that. Now I'm going to give you two choices for the next one. One is definitely more intense than the other. One is like a frog pose. That's what we call it in yoga. One is going to be a butterfly position. So one or the other is going to work for you. So the butterfly position, most of us are familiar with this one. The soles of the feet are together. We're stretching the inner thighs. You can move your body forward any amount. For the frog position, you're actually doing the opposite. So my knees are on the ground this way. So if your knees are done with being on the ground, you might choose the butterfly. I'm going to separate my knees as much as my body allows. You'll notice, if I turn sideways this way, my knees and my ankles are in one line. So this is tadpole, which if that's what's possible for you, then you do that. The true frog position is here, and then you come down to wherever you come down from there. So you might put a block or a pillow or a blanket underneath you here. See, what you want to avoid is coming way forward. I'm not doing anything for my inner thighs here. My hips and my knees are in one line, and ideally my knees and my ankles are in one line. But if that's not possible, you can go a little closer with the feet. If none of that is possible, then you'll take a butterfly position here. So the idea is to feel the inner thighs, whichever you've chosen, and be able to somewhat relax. I understand it's not the most comfortable position in the world, but to be able to somewhat relax because we're going to be here for a little bit. So take some deep breaths. Maybe close your eyes. You start to feel it in your low back. Check in with the integrity of your core, or maybe give yourself more support with some blocks or some pillows underneath you. Or maybe you switch to a different position. So in frog, you can get really sway back, which can be irritating. In butterfly, you can, if you're not careful, you can overdo the flexion. So where you want to feel it is mostly hips and inner thighs. If you're feeling the low back, adjust something or support yourself somehow. We're going to be here for another 10 breaths. So check in. What do you need? Slow breath. And about 3 more breaths. When you feel like you're ready, you'll start to make your way out carefully. Do anything you feel like you need to do before we move on. But when you are ready to move on, you're going to take a single ball outside of your toes and lay down on your back. We're going to start with the right side. So I'll turn this way. Lift your hips. Place the single ball underneath your glute. And then start doing like a clamshell type maneuver with this right leg, and keep moving the ball around until you feel like you found a spot where it should stay. So it might be higher, it might be lower, it might be more medial or lateral. But once you found it, leave it there. Leave your right knee out, and then start to move your hips side to side. You can leave that right knee out just like that, or if you want more, ankle over thigh, right ankle over left thigh. And if you still need more, you can sit up and have a seat on top of the ball. You can still do clamshell, you can still move side to side, or when you're sitting, you can go up and down. You can move, you can move the leg around. You can keep ankle over thigh or not. We have 5 more breaths on this side, deep breaths. So make sure you're completely finished once that 5 breath is up. So that means maybe you sit up, or maybe you do a little different maneuver. But if you need more time after 5 breaths, of course, I'm not going to stop you. You can stay longer. Just a couple more breaths, and then you'll switch sides. Unless you'd like to stay on this side. Your practice, you do what you need to do. So I'm switching to side number 2. If you're ready, you can join me. Maybe you start off laying down just to check it out first. Make sure this second side is not more stuck. If it is, you might end up staying laying down, or maybe last time you were able to cross the ankle and this side not so much. Lean in and out. I see some of you doing a bicycle with the leg. That's fantastic. Very intuitive practice. What would feel good? What would really help those tissues get unstuck? Maybe you sit. Coming back to the breath over and over again. Let it be a moving meditation. Coming back to that one point of focus, your breath, so important. And take 5 more deep breaths. When you feel complete, you'll start to release out of that. And then rolling to the side to sit up if you're not already sitting up. You'll have a few options for this next one. So you can either take something that sort of looks like crisscross applesauce, although my legs are farther away from my body. So typically that we think of this as crisscross applesauce, but you're gonna have your feet a little farther away so that my right ankle is kind of in front of my right knee and left ankle underneath my right knee. That's one option. Option number 2 is to take the right ankle and cross it over the top of the left thigh. Now, if you're like way up like this and you can't sit, I recommend choosing this option where you have kind of shins in line with each other. So your choice, one or the other. Now, before you get yourself too tangled up there, you do want a towel or a strap that we're going to be doing a little shoulder stretch at the same time. So a towel works just fine. If you have a strap, you're probably going to fold it in half so it's not quite as long. Okay, so you're going to toss your towel over your right shoulder. And then for those of you with shoulder issues, check it out. This may or may not work for you. Please honor where you are. Right arm reaches up and grabs a portion of that towel. Left arm reaches out to the left. Point your thumb down and then bend your elbow and catch the other side of the towel, and then you'll walk your hands as close as you can. So if that does not work for you for some reason, you might choose to just grab this top right elbow and do just a tricep stretch. Okay, so that's another option. If you're able to do the towel version, you do that. Okay, so you can stay right here, okay? If you want a little bit more, you can start to fold your way forward. We'll only be in this fold for about 3 deep breaths, so just know that we're not going to be here for a long time. When you're ready to come up, you'll come up. Don't unwind the arms quite yet. Walk your hands a little closer together if you can, or give yourself a little extra on that arm, the hand on the elbow if you can. Now start to release the arms, keep the legs, and then you'll make your way forward any amount here for 5 breaths. So sometimes it's nice to have a block out in front of you for some support for your elbows, or if you're able to, maybe your forehead. For any reason this was uncomfortable on the knees, sometimes supporting your knee with a block is the answer, or a pillow. Two more really big breaths in and out. Start to unwind, and you're going to switch your legs. So if the right foot was on top, now the left one is, or out in front. And remember, the feet are not close, they're actually kind of away from you. So it's almost like my shins are in line, my left ankle is in front of my right knee, my right ankle is under my left knee, or we have ankle over the top. Take your towel, toss it over your shoulder, but not that far. Left arm reaches up. You'll bend, catch. Right hand out, bend, catch the other side. Walk your hands as close as you can. And then option to take it forward for 3 breaths. And remember, you could also catch that elbow with your hand if the strap version does not work for you. Some of you may even be able to clasp your hands behind your back. That's another option. Slowly make your way up, and then a little bit more on the arms if you can. Take about 2 deep breaths. Maybe walk your hands a little closer together. When you're ready, release the arms, and you'll start to make your way forward any amount. Remember, sometimes supporting with a block or something, pillows, blankets, whatever, bolsters, can be helpful. We'll be here for 5 breaths. Very slowly start to make your way up and out. Moving into anything you need before your Shavasana, and then find your Shavasana. If you're ready for Shavasana, you just go right to it, laying down on your back, letting everything go. Once you've done any final movements that you need and you find yourself in your relaxed position, take one more really big breath in. Hold that breath at the top and then open your mouth and let it all go. Gently start to reawaken with some small movements in your body, fingers, toes, ankles, wrists. And take a big breath in, long breath out. Really rolling over onto one side in a fetal position. And eventually making your way up to sit. Hands will land at your heart center. Taking a moment here, sitting in gratitude for this body, for this practice, for this life. Bringing your thumbs to your third eye. The divine light in me honors and sees the divine light in all of you. Namaste. Have a really awesome day, guys. Nice to see all of you. Bye.